Okay, so earlier on you might have remembered I posted this $730 Battlefront build. This is a improvement on that. A serious improvement. Okay, so by an improvement, I mean like a serious improvement on my previous build. This build is going to perform like much better than the previous rig that I, compiled a parts list of. And so it'll run Battlefront at ultra settings, 1080p, 60 FPS, and it'll run Battlefront 1440p at, decently high settings, decently high frame rates. Alright, let's, start with the processor. So for the processor, I chose the Intel Core i5-4460 3.2 GHz quad-core processor. This is a solid processor for around $173, and it basically, it's got 3 cores. 3 cores, no, 4 cores. Anyway, it's got 4 cores, and these are 4 strong cores. I always like Intel processors for mid-range to high-end builds, so this one's going to work very well. And it's a powerful processor for a cheaper price than many other processors. So this will, allow you to run all of the latest games. Processor's not too important as long as it's fast enough, and this one is definitely fast enough. Probably a little more. Okay, so for the motherboard, this is kind of where I cut corners a little bit, but this is the ASRock H97M Pro 4 Micro ATX LGA 1150 motherboard. And this is a solid motherboard. It's a micro ATX motherboard, which, I don't know, at least I don't really like micro ATX motherboards because it just doesn't fill up all the space. But that can be good, especially with doing cable management, which is a nightmare if you don't have a good case. I mean, I got the S340 recently, but before the Cooler Master case I used to use, it was terrible for cable management since I had a non-modular supply. And yeah, so this will give you extra space for cable management, and this is a solid motherboard for around $60. Okay, so for the memory, I have 2 4GB sticks of Mushkin Eco 2 DDR3 1600 megahertz memory, and this is 2 4GB sticks, and that'll allow you to run them in dual channel, which will give you better performance than single channel, which means having like 1 RAM stick. Yeah, anyway. So that's the memory, and for $32, this is like a steal for memory for 8 gigs. I'm really happy to see how far down the price for 8 gigabytes of memory has gone, and that can really help you, kind of get more out of the rest of the parts of your PC, because you can spend a little bit more on them because, spending a little bit less on memory and a little bit less on other things, and that can really add up and allow you to get a better PC. So that's the memory, and it's around $32. So for the storage, we have the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB 3.5-inch 7200 RPM internal hard drive. This is the exact hard drive I use in my rig. It's a reliable hard drive. It works really well. It's fast for a hard drive, and for, around $50, you really can't go wrong with a hard drive. Alright, let's move on to the graphics card. Alright, so at this point, it's kind of pointless buying R9 290s or, kind of last gen stuff, especially if it's AMD, because the new 300 series came out, and it's out long enough that the old 200 series cards have kind of become more rare, and they're being sold for more expensive. They're being sold for more money on, different places like Newegg and stuff. So an R9 290 at this point, not really worth it. Oh my gosh, this deal for an R9 390 is amazing. This is a PowerColor Radeon R9 390 8GB PCS Plus video card, the exact same video card I use in my rig, and for $274. $274 is as much as like some of the R9 290s out right now, and is much cheaper than any GTX 970 out. There was a time, I'm not gonna There was a time, as in like a few weeks ago or a week ago, where the GTX 970s were actually cheaper than the 390s because there was no 390 under $300 at the time, which is really weird. The 390s are normally less expensive than the GTX 970s, and they do perform better in some games, and they're kind of evenly matched, the GTX 970 and the R9 390. So this is a great deal for an R9 390. Yeah, so why don't we move on to the case? Alright, so for the case, we have the Thermaltake Versa H21 Window ATX mid-tower case. For $25, you can't go wrong for a case with a side window, and for $25, you really can't go wrong with a case. You can't get much better for $25, so pretty basic case, but it's going to work, and it's going to, I mean, cases aren't that important as long as it fits all the components in your PC. It should be fine. So, yeah. Why don't we move on to the last component, and that is the power supply. Alright, so for the power supply, we have the 80 plus bronze certified Rosewill 650 watt power supply. It's an 80 plus bronze certified power supply for only $35. I mean, a 650 watt power supply for only $35, and that is a good deal. The power supply I got was upwards of $40 to $50. So if you can get this for $35, it's a great deal. Normally, I use companies' power supplies like XFX, Seasonic, or EVGA. And those are three great companies for power supplies. They make solid power supplies. I know people who have those power supplies. I use an XFX power supply. And Seasonic is also good. I know someone who uses a Seasonic power supply. If I didn't say that before, Rosewill. This power supply had pretty good reviews on Newegg, so I decided to put it in the build. Tend to like putting good power supplies in my builds, except for a few where I kind of didn't. But yeah, that's the power supply. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this build video. Remember, the link to the PCPartPicker list is in the description, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, sorry about the lack of videos. I've been slightly busy, so yeah, thanks for watching.